With hurried footsteps, Peckham knocked on the front door, calling out in vain. When no response came, she pressed her hands against the door, only to find out it's securely locked. An unsettling weight settled over her, and she realized the house was eerily silent, ominous in its unbroken quiet. Unable to shake her a growing dread, she reached out to Ross Moore, Josiah's brother. She called him, her voice trembling as she described her unease. Ross hurried over, knocking and shouting, yet there was no any answer. A cold shiver ran down to his spine as he fished out a house key from his pocket and unlocked the front door. It shattered as Ross pushed the door open. Standing on the porch, Peckham watched in horror as Ross stepped inside and headed straight for the guest bedroom. His face paled as he flung open the door, revealing a scene that would haunt Villisca forever. Every member of the Moore family, along with the still injured girls, had been brutally bludgeoned to death. The murder weapon, the blood-stained axe belonging to Josiah Moore, was found abandoned in the guest room, its blade still stained with horror it had inflicted. Case that forever shadows the town and challenges our understanding of justice and darkness. Yeah. Today, we explore the chilling and still unsolved 1912 Villisca Moore family murders. Back in 1903, Josiah Moore purchases a 3-bedroom house which was built in 1868 in the town of Villisca, Iowa. Villisca is a quite small town in Iowa with a tight-knit community. The Moore family lived in a white 2-story timber house along East 2nd Street. The Moore family moved in. Father Josiah Moore, 43 years old, middle-aged man. His wife Sarah Nay Montgomery, or Sarah Moore, 39 years old woman. 4 of their children: Herman Moore, 11 years old son; Mary Catherine, 10 years old daughter; Arthur Boyd, 7 years old son; and Paul Vernon, 5 years old son. It was a perfect spot, a perfect location. The neighborhood, the area, the society, everything was so great. On June 9, 1912, around 9 p.m., from the children's eldest daughter, Mary Catherine invited Ina May, 8 years old girl, with her sister Lena Gertrude, still injured, 12 years old, friends, to spend the night over the Moore's residence. After attending the Presbyterian church where they participated in the Children's Day program, which Sarah Moore had coordinated, as the program concluded around 9:30 p.m., the Moore and the still injured sisters set out towards the Moore house. Arriving around 9:45 to 10 p.m., completely unaware that those would be their final moments. In the darkness that followed, 8 lives would be brutally slain, taken in the mysterious, unsolvable nightmare, leaving a haunting question: what exactly happened that night? And how could such a chilling horror remain forever shrouded in silence for over a century? On the morning of June 10, 1912, at the break of dawn, a chilling silence hung over the quiet town of Villisca. It was Mary Peckham, the Moore's vigilant neighbor, who first sensed that something was terribly wrong. At 7 a.m., she noticed the family had not emerged to start their day. No chores, no morning routines. Concern prickled at her mind. With hurried footsteps, Peckham knocked on the front door, calling out in vain. When no response came, she pressed her hands against the door, only to find out it's securely locked. An unsettling weight settled over her, and she realized the house was eerily silent. Her nerves fraying, let the Moors chicken out into the yard, hoping to find out some signs of life, but the house remained still, ominous in its unbroken quiet. Unable to shake her a growing dread, she reached out to Ross Moore, Josiah's brother. She called him, her voice trembling as she described her unease. Ross hurried over, knocking and shouting, yet there was no answer. A cold shiver ran down to his spine as he fished out a house key from his pocket and unlocked the front door. Oh, no. That shouldn't been done. With a question, why? The eerie stillness of the house was shredded as Ross pushed the door open. Standing on the porch, Peckham watched in horror as Ross stepped inside and headed straight for the guest bedroom. His face paled as he flung open the door, revealing a scene that would haunt Villisca forever. The lifeless bodies of Ina and Lena Stillinger sprawled across the bed, their faces frozen in eternal silence. Within moments, Ross knew what had happened. He urgently instructed Peckham to contact Henry Hank Horton, Villisca's primary peace officer. Horton arrived swiftly, his face grim as he stepped into the house. What he uncovered was a massacre. Every member of the Moore family, along with the Stillinger girls, had been brutally bludgeoned to death. The murder weapon, the blood-stained axe belonging to Josiah Moore, was found abandoned in the guest room, its blade still stained with horror it had inflicted. Forensic expert deduced that the murder had occurred between midnight and 5 a.m., the house shrouded in darkness and silence. Strangely, 2 spent cigarettes in the attic suggested that the killer or killers had patiently waited in silence, lurking in the shadows until the family and the guests were asleep. Though official reports later claimed no cigarettes were found. The attack began in the master bedroom where Josiah and Sarah lay helpless. Josiah had endured the most savage blows. His face was mutilated, his eyes had been completely destroyed, and a gouge mark on a ceiling above him hinted at the ferocity of assault. The killer used the axe blade on Sarah, and the blunt end was employed on the others. Herman, Mary Catherine, Arthur, and Paul, all victims of the same brutal fashion or method. Method was struck down in rapid succession. Afterward, the murderer returned to Josiah's body, delivering additional blows, knocking over a shoe filled with his blood. The killer then moved downstairs, targeting Ina and Lena Stillinger. In a Grostak ritual, a 4-pound slab of bacon was taken from the ice box and laid beside the axe, an act that seemed almost symbolic in its macabre detail. Investigators uncovered untouched food and bloodied water on the kitchen table, adding to disturbing tableau. Law enforcement believed that all the victims except Lena Stillinger had been asleep when attacked. Lena's body told a different story. She appeared to have been awakened and fought back, evidenced by the defensive wound on her arm. She was found laying on her stomach, her body awkwardly positioned. Her undergarments were removed and her legs provocatively arranged, fueling dark speculations that the killer or killers had sexually molested or attempted to do so. But later examinations, however, found no conclusive evidences of sexual assault, adding to a house-haunting aura. Every mirror had been covered with blankets, clothing, or any available material. The perpetrators had carefully obscured their reflection, a chilling detail that has since become a part of the legend of the house, forever stained with the horror of the night, hiding its secrets behind the veil of the clothes and shadows. We talk about the aftermath. The moment that the search of the house concluded, a flood of townsfolk surged inside, eager to glimpse the gruesome scene. By 8:40 a.m., chaos erupted across Villisca as the town central telephone office issued an urgent all calls alert. Every household was ordered to be informed of the murders. Within minutes, the one quiet farmhouse was overwhelmed by the curious onlookers, their presence turning the crime scene into a chaotic spectacle. Some, driven by the morbid fascinations, even stole pieces of the Josiah Moore skull as souvenirs, desecrating what should have been a sacred scene. Amidst the crush, the murder weapon, the axe, was handled by hunters, each person's touch contaminating crucial evidence. The sheriffs, the powerless in the face of this crowd, struggling for hours to regain control, but the scene remained a madhouse that threw horror hidden beneath a veil of the interferences and the greed. Now, the frustration etched into a voice. Linguist warned that the relentless intrusion of townfolk was jeopardizing the investigations. He urgently urged the sheriff to call in the National Guard, and by 10:30 a.m., a secured perimeters were finally established. Meanwhile, a local druggist known for his hobby of photography arrived, eager to capture the horror on film. But he was swiftly dismissed, told that taking photos was too ghoulish. Some believed his motives were suspect, perhaps driven by the lucrative trade of crime scene postcards that or many drugstores sold at the time, turning the tragedy into the commerce. As the hour dragged into late afternoon, liquidists summoned the coroner's jury to view the bodies, yet they hesitated to enter the house. It wasn't until 10 p.m. permission was granted. Finally, the undertaker to begin removing the victims, and it was nearly 2 a.m. before all the bodies had been transported. Nearly 24 hours after the brutal murders had shattered the peace of the Villisca, in this dark, chaotic aftermath, the true horror of the Villisca Axe murder was partially concealed beneath the crowd's greed, interferences, and slow, disjointed efforts to seek justice, leaving behind a haunting mystery that would torment the town for years to come. The investigation into the Villisca murders plunged into the darkness and the mystery from the very start. The doctor estimated that the brutal killing had taken place sometime between midnight to 2 a.m., but the autopsies revealed a harrowing truth. Each victim had succumbed to savage head trauma, its shattered skulls and the destroyed faces. How could a murderer operating in a cramped, cracking confines of the farmhouse move undetected and silenced enough to commit such atrocity? In 1912, toxicology wasn't routine, and the truth remained elusive. Cloaked in the shadow and the speculation, evidence grew darker. Still, investigators uncovered an ominous imprint in the hay of the barn. Intruder had entered through a window or an unlocked back door. then concealed themselves, laying in wait until the house fell silent. Upstairs, a gas lamp with its glass chimney removed and its wick turned low, casting only a faint, eerie glow, almost as if the killer wanted to move unseen, hidden into the shadows. Below, investigators found a fragment of a keychain that did not belong to any member of the Moore's family, raising more questions than answers about who might have been lurking into the darkness. With so little to go on, the investigation stalled in its early days. On June 11, 1912, 13 potential witnesses, all while in the shadow of the unknown murderers, still loomed large over Villisca. The case was shrouded in secrecy, suspicion, and dread, an unresolved nightmare that cast a long, dark pall over the town, leaving everyone to wonder who was the monster lurking in the night, and would justice ever be served? And if you talk about the suspects, over the years, the series of the individuals have been implicated or considered as potential suspects in the Villisca Axe murder. Among them were George Kelly, a traveling minister with a troubled past; Frank F. Jones, a local businessman and politician; William Mansfield, an ex-convict and suspected serial killer; Paul Muller, linked through the broader series of the crime; and Henry Lee Moore, unrelated man with a violent history. Kelly's involvement was particularly notable. He was tried twice for the murders. The first trial resulted in a hung jury, while the second ended with its acquittal. Despite intense investigations, the suspects were ultimately exonerated, leaving the case shrouded in the mystery and suspicion. George Kelly confessed in court, but his confession was not accepted by the jury. Frank F. Jones, a Villisca's resident senator, had a history with Josiah Moore, who previously worked for him. Moore's departure to start his own business reportedly hurt Jones' interest, and rumors of the sexual affair with Jones' daughter-in-law circulated, though no evidences supports this. William Mansfield became the prime suspect. The Burns Detective Agency, the Kansas City office detective James Newton Wilkerson, claimed Mansfield was the cocaine addict serial killer responsible for the multiple murders, including the axe murder of his wife. Henry Lee Moore, a suspected serial killer, was convicted of the murdering his mother and grandmother with the axe. Several months after the Villisca Axe murders, striking similarities between these crimes and the Villisca's murder, including the use of an axe, led to strong suspicions that Moore, like the speculated Blackie Mansfield, might be responsible for some of all the axe murders. Before and after the Villisca's murders, Moore's axe murder of his mother and grandmother occurred, further fueling the theory of the serial killer. Samuel Roland Moyer. During the inquest, it was reported that Samuel, who was Josiah Moore's brother-in-law, had often threatened to kill Josiah. However, further investigation revealed that Moore's alibi confirmed his innocence and cleared him of the involvement in this crime. Paul Muller, in their 2017 book The Man from the Train, Bill James and his daughter Rachel McCarthy James examined the Villisca's murder as part of the broader series of the crimes believed to have been committed by a single serial killer. They identified the culprit as a Paul Muller, an immigrant possibly from Germany. Muller was the focus of the unsuccessful year-long manhunt after being suspected as the sole perpetrator of the 1897 murder of the family of the West Brookfield, Massachusetts. He had been employed as a farmhand. Today, the house in Villisca, Iowa has become a popular tourist destination.
For those looking into an overnight stay at the house, that runs about $400 a night. For those less adventurous curiosity seekers, homeowners do offer daytime tours for $10.
Years later, the crime remains unsolved.
Who the killer hid, most likely.
It's just so sad, especially with kids, and just not knowing what happened.
By day, tourists are intrigued.
I can picture it being haunted. It's like something you'd see in a movie.
This is like on the top 10 of the most scariest places in the United States.
Overnight guests frequent the home, hoping to catch a morsel of that horrific night
Can you give us a sign if you're here?
in 1912.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Since 1995, a couple has owned the home and restored its actual 1912 condition by undoing all the modern renovations. They now offer tours and overnight stays, emphasizing that the house is haunted due to the tragic event that took place there. The house's reputation as a haunted site draws many visitors interested in their eerie history. I would love to hear from you. If you have found something purely dark or mysterious, can raise more questions in order to investigate further that I may have missed by following the timestamp. And if you're the fan of the dark, mysterious, true crime, horror stories, movie recaps, reviews, or reactions, please follow or subscribe to my channel for more dark, chilling stories. And as always, please take care of yourself and your surroundings. I am Uzair Sipra. Until next time.